So the price of Tenergy can be a real shame, especially with the inflation. You don't really feel like going around spending $100 every few months to just replace a rubber. However, I've done my research, I've gone around, tested some rubbers, and I think I might have some for you that might rival Tenergy, Dignics, sort of rubbers of that quality for maybe even half the price. So I really want to get into those rubbers for you, and I will be benchmarking them against the Tenergy 05 because I believe it's the most popular sort of butterfly rubber out there. But anyways, let's just get straight into it. So the first rubber that I found that could really rival these higher end rubbers from Butterfly was Xion Vega Pro. So my first impression when I tried this was that this rubber is actually faster than Tenergy. And I think this was because of its carbo sponge. I believe that's what it's called. It's a little black looking sponge and it's really, really fast. It feels harder than Tenergy. It has a lower throw angle than Tenergy, and it was really nice to play with in the beginning. For the first 2 months, it even kept its grip and it was really showing some bite on the ball for a good period of time before it started to deteriorate, at which point I had to think about, am I going to keep playing with this downgraded sort of rubber, or am I going to replace it with the same thing or something else? Because it really died a lot quicker than I would have expected it to. It only lasted maybe 2 months. That might have been because I was playing maybe 6 or 7 times a week very often back then, but I usually find my Tenergies, Hurricanes to last a lot longer than this sheet of Vega Pro did. I may have given it a hard time, maybe some bruises, you can see here, but I really do expect these sort of rubbers to last longer, so I was disappointed. But the quality that it maintained for the first 2 months was exceptional, and I was shocked. I think I bought this for 45 Australian dollars, which is around 30 US dollars. And for reference, Tenergy is about, I reckon 120 Australian dollars, so about 90 US dollars. So it might even be a third of the price, which was crazy at the time. At the 2 month mark, I was really excited to see how much more it could give me for such little price. But when its decline started to come, I wasn't too upset because it's nowhere near the price. And obviously, Tenergy is gonna last longer. You're paying 3 times the price. The manufacturers are sort of on a different level to everyone else than a Butterfly. But yeah, if you're happy to change your rubber every maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months for you, depending on how long you play, how often you play, then this is a great choice for you. And keep in mind, there's people that use this rubber for 3, 4, 5 years on end. Once that initial decline happens of about 2 to 4 months, then it maintains that sort of 80% of its full ability level for the next, I don't know how long. One of the main differences between Vega Pro and Tenergy 05 was its throw angle. So Tenergy 05 is known for its very high throw angle. There are some Tenergys and Dignics with lower ones, but in comparison to Tenergy 05, the Vega Pro had a much lower throw angle, so I found it really great for my forehand. I've always been using sort of lower throw angle rubbers. I've never been into the high throw angle on the forehand. I did try it on my backhand. I just felt like there wasn't enough margin for error on the blocking. So I do like high throw angle rubbers on my backhand, but for the forehand, I really did find it to be a great rubber, especially with the hardness of the sponge. So if you're looking to pair this up with a blade as well, I'd go for sort of a softer blade because this rubber does feel a little bit harder when you're comparing it to sort of the European style rubbers. So you can put it on your forehand and maybe go for a softer blade, and they'll give you a well-balanced but controlled attack with the potential for a lot of spin and speed coming from the Vega Pro. But there is nothing stopping you from using a hard carbon blade and using Vega Pro on that as well. You get a lot of power, a lot of spin, but you need the control, the ability to use it properly, because it will just sort of trampoline off. You won't be able to feel the ball for long. You need good touch and feeling of the ball, of your racket, and good game sense in general to use this rubber with a harder blade. So I do recommend a softer blade if you're starting out sort of in that beginner intermediate range. But if you put Vega Pro on your blade and you use a harder blade and you're sort of an advanced player, you already pretty much know what you're doing. You don't need me to tell you too much. I just gave you a little bit of the characteristics of sort of how it plays and how it played for me. But yeah, let's get on to the next rubber. And the next rubber is 𝗕𝗲 Evolution MXP. And boy, this rubber is a rocket. I think this was at least 20% faster than Tenergy when it came out of the pack. It did sort of die down as that initial sort of catapult effect went away, but boy, it was fast when I first got it. I think it's got to be up there with one of the fastest, or maybe the fastest I've ever tried. So the MXP, it does not lack in the speed department. Where I did find a little bit of trouble is when I'm trying to play slower shots, I didn't find there to be a lot of grip or spin or sort of control either. You do get a lot of spin when you play a fast and spinny shot, but when you're trying to fuel the ball over the net or just trying to get your game started by doing a few slow loops, this isn't really great for that sort of nice and controlled play. It's sort of very punchy, very powerful, and quick sort of play. So first 2 weeks out of the pack, I feel that it had about 90% of the spin potential as Tenergy 05, which is still a lot and still enough for the world's best pros to use it. You've seen it on Vladimir Samsonov, he's used the MXP. You've seen it on Paul Drink also. It is a top class rubber, but you really do need to know exactly what you're doing to get the most spin out of this rubber, because you can't really parry the ball over with a lot of spin. You have to play a high quality shot with spin and speed, is how I'd put it. And this rubber's throw angle is even lower than Vega Pro. So if Tenergy 05's throw angle was about here, Vega Pro's was slightly lower, and MXP, it's nearly straight. It does go upwards a little bit, but it's a lot flatter, it's a lot closer to the net, less margin for error, it is quicker as well. It's really good for that sort of backhand punch if you're precise and you play at a good level. You can use it on your forehand as well. But yeah, if you use this rubber, you'll definitely be prioritizing speed. You'll definitely be that sort of player at least. And if I'm honest with you, if you know what you're doing, this isn't much less than Tenergy, honestly. Like the counter top spins, the top spins you can put in when you play the right shot with good technique, good weight transfer, good everything, good knowledge of the game, then the shots you play are not going to be any lower quality than Tenergy 05. The speed will probably be even quicker. It will just be a different type of shot. You'll get a higher arc with the Tenergy 05, but you'll get a lot more, how can I put it, penetration and penetrative power to, just punch the ball through or hit a hard and fast topspin, which your opponent is simply just not going to get to. And again, this rubber sort of dies off quicker than Tenergy 05, quicker than I'd like it to. Still only gives you about 3 or 4 months. But if your play isn't too spin orientated and you like punching a lot, you sort of just use less spin in your game, then this rubber can last you maybe a year or two, honestly. If you're not into replacing rubbers too much, you don't have to really replace this. It keeps a good level of speed for the most part. The spin is there. You can get spin on your serves a year down the line, but you won't have that intense grip that you get in the first 2 or 3 weeks and then in that 3 to 4 month range. One of my favorite features of this rubber as a whole is its blocking. It's so nice, the noise that it makes, and it sort of just trampolines off. You don't have to do much. Just get your footwork right, direction your racket correctly, and it just does all the work for you, which can be a bad thing if you're developing. If you don't learn how to put power into your strokes using weight transfer, correct body motions, and just, the right technique, then you sort of just let the rubber do too much work for you and your technique sort of becomes inadequate. And what I mean by that is if you were to use a slower setup like a wooden blade and maybe Mark V, you'd be stood there wondering why there's no power or penetration in your shots. It's because you're not using the correct technique to actually produce a high quality shot. You're just using the rubber. But anyways, I hope this video saved you some time. I hope my thoughts helped, and I hope you don't have to go spend $100 on something you could possibly get for half the price.